All right, let's get into spoilers. So, as I said, best episode, episode 10. Why? Because Danny Rand comes in, Iron Fist comes in, he teams up with Luke Cage, we get a preview of Heroes for Hire, and it's so great. Oh my god. Like, so Iron Fist, if you don't know, is trash. Season 1 is trash, and he was a little bit better in Defenders. And this one, I would say, if they can keep this version of Danny, season 2 should be better. I don't think it's gonna be great, but it should be better than what season 1 was. But they in this show, they seem to kind of fix what the character should have been for boy, like personality wise. And the fighting has improved because they were smart enough to shoot him most of the time from behind, so you don't see his face, so they can put in the stunt actor. But his character, he's not as goofy as, he's still goofy because that's part of the character, but he's not as annoying, he's not as whiny, he doesn't have the goofy curly hair, he's got, you know, the standard haircut, and he's helpful. And I like him and Luke's chemistry. Mike Coulter and I think Finn Jones is his name, they have good chemistry. And Luke you know, is dealing with his anger. Danny comes in because Claire asked him to check up on Luke, and he's trying to help Danny with his he's trying to help Luke with his anger and control his chi. Now, Luke's anger problem doesn't really changes throughout the season. He just sort of shifts his, and for me, it seems like he's more like trying to tricking himself into thinking he's working past his anger because of what happens with him as the season goes on. But that episode, there's the moment, what's it called, Patty Cake, where they like break into Bushmaster's drug house, and they're beating up all these guys, and then they're surrounded by more people, and Luke Cage is like, patty cake, and Iron Fist is like, what? And then like he's like, it's like, hit my hand, like light it up, I'm ready. So he lights up his, you know, the Iron Fist, and he punches Luke's hand, and it makes a shockwave and takes everyone out. That's the other thing, Iron Fist is not weak anymore. That was the dumbest thing that they did in the first season and in Defenders, where it would take him forever to charge up his fist. In this, he's just like, hey, here it is, let me punch some shit, and it's awesome. And then like also Danny learns the power of being a rich white man, which was a conversation they kind of had in Defenders. And like Danny finally gets his, because Danny's not big into money, but he realizes, hey, my money can be helpful, and he uses it in an interesting way. But so that was the best episode. Awesome. But more spoilers. So Bushmaster is a great villain. He is, that actor, was Mustafa Shakir. He is so charismatic, and he, like, his look, he has a very striking look, striking figure, and he's just a great character, and you really feel sympathetic for him, because there's moments at the beginning where I'm kind of like, okay, it's the standard, I want my revenge, my family was wrong. But when you see what he went through, it's like, so the Stokes, if you know, there was the what was her name, Mama Mabel? Yeah, Mama Mabel. She was, you know, the crime boss. She took over the family because there was her husband, Buggy Stokes, and who was Mariah and Cornell's grandfather, and Bushmaster's father were sort of, they were very close. They were like brothers. He was a dishwasher, Jamaican dishwasher, and I think Buggy was also a dishwasher too, but they grew close, and they ended up getting the club. Like, Buggy had the club, which would become Holland's Paradise, and John's dad had this thing called Bushmaster Rum. So they would have the club, they would sell the rum, and they was making money. But they were also, you know, doing the criminal shit, like they had the prostitution, they were doing gambling and gun running, and they were getting pushed out of Harlem, or about having a war with the Italians. So John's dad wanted to fight the Italians, but Buggy was like, I can't really fight the Italians. I can just kind of like hold up against the Italians. Like, I can at least, because like Buggy wanted to take more, but like, not Buggy, John's dad wanted to take more. Buggy was like, I'm just gonna take what I have and make a stronghold. But he fucked over John. He like took the rum. He killed John and killed most, because it was his gang, they were called the Stylers, it was the Jamaican gang, kind of killed most of them. So John and his mother had to leave from Harlem back to Jamaica, and they lost a lot of money. So they're in Jamaica with him, his uncle, and his aunt, and his mom, and I think they either run a hotel, like a hotel they work at it. But anyway, there's a flashback where you see them as teenagers, where you see John, Mariah, and Cornell as younger kids, and there's a legal dispute because they still have a contract for the stuff that like a contract that they had signed. It was like on a piece of paper, but basically the mother kills, they're living in a hut, she sets the hut on fire, and John's the only one who survives, but his mother dies, and the grandmother was the one who, well, she was the one who threw the cocktail, but I think they said Mariah was the one that actually lit the fire, which is kind of fucked up for her to do that as a kid, but as a teenager. But then 2 years later, Uncle Pete comes back and shoots Bushmaster in the stomach because, he survived that, but they shoot him in the stomach, and he survives because he's sort of a mutant. Like, they can't say mutant because Marvel Studios doesn't own the rights to the X-Men film rights, so they can't say mutant, but he's basically a mutant. He has this superpower of a healing factor and sort of super strength and durability. But the thing is, he can only activate it when he comes in contact. He does this ritual. He comes in contact with what's it called? It's a plant called Nightshade. So throughout this series, he has to rely on Nightshade because once he inhales the Nightshade, it activates his strength and his durability, but it wears off, and it also takes a toll on his body because the more it's like a steroid. The more he uses it, the lesser potency it has, but it also starts to break down his body and slowly his mind. And that's where Mariah's daughter Tilda comes in, because she's the one that hooks him up with the Nightshade, because she's the herbal doctor, and she's also the villain from the comics who's called Nightshade, which I kind of forgot, but that comes into later in the show. But Bushmaster, he's tough though. He beats the shit out of Luke Cage like a couple of times. Like, they have some great fights, and like that first fight when he runs up on him, he cold cocks him, and he was on some stank meter shit, and he knocked the shit out of him.
Motherfucker, eat a dick, nigga. I'm tired of this mother.
Oh, yeah! Look at you! You was popping all that good shit a second ago, then you got kicked in your chest!
That shit was great. There's another fight when on the bridge, and that's the thing, like Luke Cage, because Bushmaster does capoeira, so he's quicker, but Luke Cage, the thing, like, Bushmaster's weakness is eventually his energy or his durability lessens, and then that's when Luke Cage, and also tires him, and that's when Luke Cage can start putting hands on him. So he has like pocket sand. He threw some sand in Luke Cage's face, but it wasn't sand, it was like a paralyzer. It paralyzed him, and then he kicked him off the bridge. That shit was great. And then there's another fight where they which I think is one of the best fights they've had on one of these Netflix shows. It's definitely in the top 5. I don't know if it's the best, but it's definitely top 5, where he's gotten like a super shot that's like increases powers to like almost like Deathstroke Murukuru levels, and he breaks into Harlem's Paradise, and he's trying to kill Mariah, and then it's like a 3-on-1 fight. It's Luke Cage, Misty, and Shades versus Bushmaster in the little penthouse room, and that shit was so sweet. And Luke almost killed him, but like Misty, talked him out of it, and Bushmaster gets away. But that fight was so cool. And some other thing, yeah. So Shades and Mariah, they go through some tough. Mariah is a full-on gangster. Like, she does some cutthroat shit in this season. Because she was like very timid about killing, although she killed Cornell. But like, she gets a bloodlust like crazy throughout this season. So Bushmaster ends up, because Mariah was trying to get out of the business, she ends up tricking some business guy. She ends up framing him, so she ends up getting his money. But Bushmaster kidnaps Piranha, who controls the money, and gets him to sign over her money to him. So then she's broke. So she's broke for a bit, and then Bushmaster's coming after her. He destroys her house, and he's coming after her. And there's a moment where Luke Cage, where Bushmaster puts out a hit on anyone who's close to Luke Cage, anyone who's close to Mariah. So they have to go into hiding, and it's Luke and his dad, Mariah and her daughter, and then Misty's there, to broker a deal with the police to get her like a reduced sentence, but also so they can arrest Bushmaster. And in that episode, it was episode 9. There's a moment where she reveals a family secret to Tilda, because Tilda and her, Tilda is Mariah's daughter. They had a hard relationship, but she reveals who her real father is, which there was a red herring, because they make you think that there's a police chief in the show who ends up getting killed. They lead you to think that he's Mariah's baby daddy, but what you find out is Tilda's actual father is her uncle. Is because if you remember, it's her Uncle Pete. Because if you remember in season 1, which led to Mariah killing Cornell, was like Uncle Pete was molesting her. Well, you find out in this, he not only was molesting her, he actually raped her, and she ended up having a kid. But the grandmother was against abortion, so she ends up having Tilda's. Tilda is her daughter, but her uncle is her dad, the uncle she never met. So that was a very emotional scene. And then that leads, after she does that, then they get attacked, and Mariah ends up getting a gun, and she's just gunning people down, like the different Jamaicans is trying to attack. She guns them down. Eventually, Mariah, once after that Bushmaster gets arrested, Mariah gets her money back, and she's like, okay, Bushmaster burnt down my house. I'm gonna get him back. And she kidnaps his uncle, who the whole time his uncle is like, look, the past is the past. Leave it in the past. This is not worth it. You're gonna lose yourself. You're gonna make things worse for everybody else. You're gonna upset too many things. Don't do it. But John is like, no, I'm gonna get my revenge. They killed my mother. I'm gonna kill her. I'm gonna get Mariah Stokes. Fuck Dillard. She's a Stokes. I'm gonna get Mariah Stokes. And so Mariah gets revenge because he burnt down her house. She takes the uncle back. She has him blindfolded and takes him back to his restaurant, which is like full of people. She shuts the doors, and she's got her gangsters. And then there's one girl who was like working for her, but she was like a spy for the Jamaicans. She sees her, shoots her, and just shoots everybody in the restaurant. Like kills them dead, except for one. One person survives. And the uncle is there, but he's like blindfolded, and he just hearing all these people get shot. And then they take the blindfold off of him, and he's crying, and then she pours rum on him and lights him on fire, and he's still screaming, and then she shoots him. And that was cold blood. That was the most cold-blooded thing. And then that was the moment when Shades, because Shades goes through some things where he has to kill his friend. Well, someone who was a little bit more than a friend, but it was his partner, Comanche. He has to kill Comanche because Comanche was snitching. And then we find out a little bit about Shades, and Comanche might have been, they was on some thug and love shit in prison. Although Shades, like Mariah says it, Shades doesn't deny it, but by his reaction, the fact that he choked her out and things happened later on in the season, he was like looking at a picture of them, because they were best friends, but like they was on some thug and love shit. And Shades, after that moment, he's like, look, Mariah, you've gone crazy. I'm getting out of the game. He starts snitching because he sets up a deal, but due to certain things, it doesn't work out, and he ends up getting arrested anyway. And so that was Mariah kills those people. Then there's a moment when she gets arrested and she goes to prison. And oh man, she was about to get killed by this Jamaican chick and this Italian chick. They was about to light her on fire. Then these two girls come in and they slit their throats. And it was like a girl that she knew when she was younger. She was like Uncle Pete's, one of his girlfriends. And she was like, well, we'll protect you, but you got to pay us. And she was like, okay, I'll pay y'all. But let me get like one of y'all shanks, because I want to carve my name in that Jamaican bitch that threw kerosene on me. So the girl gives her a shank, and as soon as she gets the shank, she slits that chick's throat, and she's like, I'm the head nigga in charge. Y'all working for me now. So that shit was like, Mariah was crazy. Like, she was just killing food. She was snapping. Man, there was so much good stuff with her. And sadly, she ends up dying because her daughter Tilda, who's, like I said, the villain Nightshade, she ends up killing her with a poisonous kiss, which was very, very heartfelt moment. And there's a great moment where Mariah and Luke Cage, where Mariah, she says Luke Cage is the only man she trusts, because he's the only man that she knows is going to save her. Like, she can keep fucking up, because even though she gets into trouble, she knows Luke Cage is going to be there to save her. Well, he couldn't save her from a poisonous kiss, but he was there to keep her company and enjoy her dying. in a way, because there was a time when he saved her and then she goes kills those people, and Luke Cage is like, I should have let that bitch burn, but she ends up burning in a way from the poison inside of her. And as a result, Luke Cage, in her will, right before she died, she changed her will, and she ends up giving Harlem Paradise to Luke Cage. So now Luke Cage is sort of the new, he's sort of like the new kingpin of Harlem, but he's not doing any crimes though, but because he brokers a deal with the Italians to keep them, because the Italians try to come back into Harlem, and he brokers a deal with them to keep them out of Harlem. Like, y'all can do your crime shit, but you're not doing it in Harlem. Now, there's gonna be some crime, but like the hard shit, he's kind of like forming a wall, and he now has to take over the role of the, like they keep calling him the king of Harlem, but he's like, I'm not a king, I'm a sheriff. I'm just gonna break heads when I need to and broker deals when I need to. Like, if I have to do some illegal things to keep the peace, illegal, like not in terms of like making deals with criminals, not in terms of like actually selling drugs or dealing guns, and he's not trying to do all of that, but it's a slippery slope and it's not going to work out. This never truly works out. You're going to get dirty at some point. And Misty keeps telling him that, and he's like, well, you know, you my partner, you will be the new chief of police. If I get out of control, I'm expecting you to keep me in check. And Misty's like, I don't know if this is going to work. And we get that sweet ass Godfather reference where she shuts the door on him. Where he shuts the door on her. That was really cool. And but Luke still doesn't fix things with Claire, because Claire is at the club, but he tells Sugar Sugar's one of the gang guys that now starts working. Who's like now Luke Cage's right hand man, because he leaves Mariah. He's like, Claire's here, and he tell Claire to go home. So there's still some unresolved feelings between him and Claire, which him pushing Claire away, there's more proof that he's not going down the right path. The stuff with Luke and his dad, it's not, I was fearing Luke's dad was going to die, because Reggie Cathy, he died in real life, and I was like, I hope they don't kill him off in the show, but he doesn't. They have a heart-to-heart. They don't solve every problem, because there's a lot of problems they can't solve, because Luke's dad is ultimately the reason why he ended up with superpowers. He ended up in prison because, you know, Luke and his brother, best friend, Willis, wanted revenge because he never was loved by his father. So there's certain things you can't completely heal, but he does forgive him to a degree. Like, he forgives him enough to be like, I'm glad you're in my life. But there's certain things he can't forgive wholeheartedly, not per se. But there was some great moments where he gives him a speech about, you know, you got your powers through science, God, and magic, and it's all the same thing, but you have to learn how to deal with this in certain ways. When you make your decision, you'll be a man. Something like that. I can't remember all of it. Yeah, Misty goes through some things where she's having flashbacks to her old partner, and she's starting to realize how much of a scumbag her old partner really was, to the point where she was going to frame a guy. Like, she was going to, like, the guy was an asshole. Cockroach is an asshole. He's an abusive asshole, but she was going to frame him, and she was like, I was about to make a bad decision. I'm not cut out to be a cop. But she leaves, but she comes back because her chief gets killed, and that sets her up to become the new chief of police. We get a Foggy Nelson cameo, because the character, that was a funny thing, the character Cockroach, because he was abusive, Luke Cage was keeping tabs on him, and he runs in and beats the shit out of him for beating up his girlfriend and his son. So, but Cockroach survives. So Cockroach, smartly, because Luke Cage is not he's a vigilante, but he's not, he's known, people know his identity. He decides to sue Luke Cage, so Luke Cage has Foggy Nelson as his lawyer to help him out with that. And he has to pay, what was it, like $100,000? He was gonna have to pay $100,000, and he needed some money. And because he got his ass beat on, it was it was recorded. He had some deals with Nike and all of this, but like once he got his ass whooped, that kind of tarnished his popularity. So he's hired by the character Piranha, because Piranha is like, even though he works for Mariah, he's a fanboy of Luke Cage. He's got like all different memorabilia and everything, so he hires Luke Cage to be at his party and basically be like Luke Cage says, he's like Joe Louis at Vegas, where he's just greeting people and shaking hands and just doing dumb shit. And that eventually some guys was about to kill Piranha, so Luke Cage like, well, if you want me to help, you're gonna have to pay me. I'm gonna be a hero for hire, which was great. He was a hero for hire. He was finally getting paid for his services, although he doesn't actually get the money in the end. But there was so much fun, other fun things. I don't know if there's any other things I can go into right now. Oh yeah, like I said, Tilda becomes a villain, which that was a problem I had. How quick Tilda, so Tilda's the one that kills Mariah. That was fine, but there's a moment when she doesn't get the Harlem's Paradise where she's now really mad at Luke Cage, which I don't get why she's so mad at Luke Cage. She didn't want to be a Stokes. She's like, I'm done with this family. This family is nothing but trouble. So the fact that she doesn't get Harlem's Paradise, I don't know why she's so pissed off at Luke Cage about it, but she's going to be, a villain for him, I'm assuming, next season. But she's a good actress. She's very good, and she's a lovely singing voice. What's another? Oh, yeah. Okay, so the character I didn't like, Faith Evans. Well, not Faith Evans. She played Faith Evans in Notorious. She's a cop in this, and she's just annoying and a pain. She's not a good actress, at least in my opinion. I don't think she's that good of an actress, and she's annoying. She is a former college friend and high school. She went to high school with Misty, and they went to the police academy together. And she's just, from the moment she pops up, she's just constantly giving Misty shit about her arm, shit about like, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. But she's a scumbag, because when Bushmaster puts out it was a $1 million hit, but then he makes it $3 million once he finds out that Mariah is like, the fact that she was alive, it was $1 million hit, but once he found out she was talking to the police, it became $3 million. And so the cop gives up their location for the $3 million. She's eventually arrested, and she just is fucking trash. She's not trash, she just sucks. She's just annoying, but she's not in the show that long. Other problems I had, like I said, the writing was good, the acting, it's not a major problem, but like I said, Luke's overarching arc isn't really resolved this season, so they're gonna leave it open for next season. But he's going down a rough path. There's a good scene with the kid that does the recordings that follows him. He turns on Luke at the end, and at first I was like, why is he turning on Luke? But he makes a very good point, like, because they were going to leave Pop's barbershop, but like, the kid is like, look, if you're going to be this new like kingpin, this new king of Harlem, you can't do your gangster shit in Pop's. Pop's needs to be Switzerland. Like, there needs to be a certain place where there is none of that gangster stuff is involved, and if you're going to do it, you can't do it in here. And at first I was like, why is he turning on Luke? But once he said, Pop's needs to be a safe space, it made sense. And Luke is like, okay, you're right, I'll leave. And then, he goes to Harlem's Paradise. But that was before he knew he was going to get Harlem's Paradise. But then he finds out he's got Harlem's Paradise, so that's his new place to run his superhero business. And I like the idea of the blue collar superhero is now like a club owner too, and he's like using that as his place to keep his ear to the streets. Like, some people aren't feeling it. I really like it, and can't wait to see where that goes next season. But yeah, great, fantastic season. They did a phenomenal job, increased on the weaknesses of last season, and I loved it. Some ideas for next season. The season 3 better be Heroes for Hire. It better be Luke and Danny teaming up. And what I'm hoping is Danny's gonna end up broke by the end of season 2. He's gonna lose his company, lose most of his money, and midway through season 3 of Luke Cage, Luke's gonna lose the club. He's gonna be broke. They're both gonna be broke. They're gonna become roommates, and they're gonna start being heroes for hire. I want that for the next season. And maybe like the Serpent Society, maybe like we might get a team up of what's his name, the character from Iron Fist, Steel Serpent, Davos, whatever, teaming up with Diamondback, because Diamondback's gonna come back at some point. He didn't come back this season. Hopefully they change him up, because I don't want him to be another super strong, indestructible black guy versus Luke Cage type of deal. I don't want that. Like, give him, like, he has knives. He does things with, like, give him special knives, explosive knives, something to make him different. But hopefully we'll see some more of that in season 3. Hopefully I want to see more super powered characters as well. Like I said, like, not just another black guy who's super strong. Like, something different as well to keep it more interesting, because the superhero stuff really works in this crime drama blaxploitation, modern day blaxploitation thing that they got going on. But check it out; it's worth watching. Like I said, first couple episodes, the first 3 or so episodes is a slow burn. First one's not that great, but sit through it and watch it. Is really good. And like I said, Black Lightning season 1 is better than Luke Cage season 1, and I can't wait to see what Black Lightning season 2 is going to do to top this, because this was really good. So, and I'm loving we got these two. I mean, we only got 2, and they're really good. They're both really good. Black Lightning and Luke Cage are great black superhero centric shows, and I'm loving it. I want more. Hopefully, we can get some more creator like black owned, black created superhero shows in the mainstream, but for right now, we're doing it's really good stuff. But thanks for watching, and like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more TV reviews and movie reviews coming up later on the channel. Thanks for watching.
This thought. I am a slave to
the booty.